What's going on, motherfuckers? Hope everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving, spent some time with the family, ate some good food, enjoying the extended weekend, taking a step back from the market. That being said, it's almost that time. Casino's almost open, and I thought I would throw together a quick update video. Now, it's probably not necessary for me to make a video today, and it's probably not necessary for me to make a video all next week. I'm not saying I'm not going to. I'm just saying what we're expecting going forward for AMC is very boring price action for the next couple weeks. Just choppy, sideways, barcodey bullshit price action, ups and downs in a sideways direction for the next couple weeks, leading up until middle of December, mid to late December into January, where we'll be meeting our macro halt line once again. And I've already covered in my past two videos, there are two possible outcomes. And you know, it probably seems very drastic, but this is the case. There's two outcomes when we meet that trend again. We break it to the upside, head for the 3618 fib of $1,400, or we reject off of the trend, halt off of it again to the downside, more than likely followed with heavy selling momentum and head for zero. Obviously, the latter is extremely unlikely, especially with the direction AMC is heading fundamentally. But I'm just mentioning it because those are the two scenarios. Those are the two possible outcomes for when we reach that trend again. And we're approaching it middle of next month, middle of December into January 2024. That being said, let's just jump right into the video. This should be relatively quick. I don't have that many charts to go through. It's going to be very simple here, and we'll start with S&P 500 SPY. I'm not going to go through all of the symmetry as I always do. Here is all-time highs on S&P 500. The bottoming formation is a perfectly symmetrical move right up to 460, down to 420, down to 409 in the red, and then the uptrend to 458, which is where we are now. The symmetrical equivalent right here on the left, this green box right here, the top of this move was 458. I do not expect to see 458 or anything higher short term for S&P 500. I believe the top is in here at 456.50. Whatever the top was here, I believe it was 456.50 or 60. I am now looking for a pullback relatively short term and a double top. So we're going to be looking for this double top still. I'm not expecting to see any more upside. I'm not expecting to break 458. Not for the time being, at least. Possibly what we see is a pullback to 450, 451, and then curl back up to double top 456 before we actually get into the downtrend we're looking for, which is this price action right here. I fully expect this to be the case. The symmetry has not missed one single time on SPY, and I do not expect it to miss going forward. Along with the symmetrical landmark that we are approaching right now at 458, the double top, looking for this pullback, just from a technical sense, looking at SPY and the macro descending broadening wedge right here from all-time highs, ping-ponging all the way down to 340 here. Here's your breakout and your retest, the bull run from that, and then again, 460, the symmetrical equivalent straight across, the descending broadening wedge once again, which we have broken out of to the upside and approaching that 458 symmetrical landmark top. We are now looking to retest this trend. It's a very technical move, has to happen. This trend will be retested, and in my opinion, it will be sooner rather than later. And if you remember me saying, in I think it was my last video, we're looking for 420 symmetrically to the downside. It's possible we see it. It's possible we don't, because the trend, when we do test it, will be sitting somewhere around 435 to 438. But if you remember me saying, if it plays out how we previously saw, the macro wedge, which I am expecting it to do, will actually bounce off of the previous resistance as support when we come down to it, but then fall through like you saw here with the macro before you reclaim, and then you get the bull run. And of course, this bull run that we see over here will be the push for all-time highs. So we will be seeing a pullback on SPY relatively short term. It's possible it just chops up here sideways all week, pulling back to 450 and then back up to 456 double top, And then the following week, we start to pull back. It's possible we just pull back this week. I have to see how this plays out. But we are looking for that symmetrical pullback to 420. Whether we reach it or not, we are still looking for downside to retest the descending broadening wedge. And again, SPY is lining up for new all-time highs January 2024, just like it previously saw all-time highs in January 2022. Moving on to AMC. Starting with AMC's macro from IPO as always. So your January equivalent here, right off IPO, as you see it here, the pullback into your June, the pullback into your June, the V-shape, your macro break in the blue box, and then your green, red, and then blue. So green, red, blue, starting the descending trend line right from that climb out of the green on both sides. You touch it again in the red, and then the next time you touch it is in the flat portion. So the cup in the red rejects it. You got this V shape that you see here, come down, curl up, and then drop to your flat portion. This one did not play out the exact same way as the previous. I mentioned the reason why is the trend. This trend was not as strong, we'll just put it that way. AMC was not what it was now back here with the amount of retail interest and the amount of volume. We were not being halted off of this trend every time we touched it leading up to 2021 as we are now. But with that being said, nonetheless, we are at the flat portion. You play it out. So coming down the first chop here, first bottom, gap up, coming down, chop, gap up, your three peaks, and then you get this U move, which actually pokes you through the resistance that we saw here. That was that July after hours move, 100% to the upside. And then you drop from that one more time down to your second bottom, play out the tri-peak, and then your third bottom all-time low is where we are currently. So this looks great. And again, we're approaching this trend. This is our macro resistance and our macro halt line. We're approaching this end of December, early January 2024. And the two scenarios from that are we break this to the upside and squeeze to $1,400, or we halt off of it again and head for zero. Zero is right underneath us. Very, very unlikely. And, you know, more than likely, that's not going to be the case. We will be breaking this to the upside, straight lining into our squeeze. So that's that. Zooming in a little bit more on the actual downtrend itself now, excluding the peaks, the bull run cycles of AMC. Here's the downtrend. So your first iteration here up to the trend, this is where you find your descending resistance as you see it over here. Your second touch right here, the V, come down, curl up, and then drop to your flat portion. Chop right there at the bottom, your three peaks, and then the U actually pokes you out of the trend, and then again dropping down for your second and third bottom. Again, that's where we are now. So zooming in a little bit more, here it is again, and now this is just looking at the flat portion. So again, drop down to it, chop, gap up, drop down to it, chop, gap up, three peaks, and then the U move. Very dragged out in the current cycle. But still pokes through the trend, and nonetheless, the macro resistance falls back through it, and then you get your second and third bottom. And that's where we are. And more likely than not, the way this plays out, and this is why I said it's probably not even necessary for me to make a video today or next week, because we're going to just be chopping here. It's possible the bottom's not even in yet. We might have a few more cents to the downside. But if it is in, more than likely how this plays out is something very similar to what we saw here. Very choppy. Once again, a very symmetrical move. So your M right there, and now another chop zone here leading up to the macro resistance, macro halt line. Somewhere mid-December to early January is what I'm looking for. And that's that. You know, there's really not much to say, and there's really not going to be much to say for the next couple weeks. We're just moving to the right on a daily basis. That's what matters. We're moving to the right every day, candles to the right, getting closer and closer to this macro resistance, which is also our halt line. I'm illustrating it again here. Halted in March, halted in August. We've had other halts. This was a halt. This was a halt. halted in July, and then dropping down to the second and third bottom now. And again, approaching this macro resistance, macro halt trend. The apex of this triangle is Friday, December 29th. More than likely, we'll be meeting this sooner. This chop's going to play out. Eventually, the uptrend will form, and we'll probably meet this somewhere middle of December to late December, meeting this trend line. And then the break of this, that's where things are going to get very volatile and very vertical, barring us actually halting off of this and heading for zero, the other scenario, which I'm just mentioning it because those are the two possible outcomes here. We meet this trend, halt off of it to the downside, zero is right underneath us, or we break it and straight line to the fucking moon. It's that, and then really quickly, just getting into the indicators. It's gonna be a very quick video. It's really no need to drag it out. Into the indicators, so here's the macro from IPO. Again, volume profile is sitting at all-time high levels right now. Descending volume through the macro, and again, picking up as we're heading into a new macro. The setup looks amazing. OBV, sitting at all-time high levels, pretty much the entirety of the macro. Found new all-time high 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and now pulling back. Here's the break out of the descending trend, and now it's pulling back to test on the top of the range. This is now 3 red weeks in a row on descending volume. That being said, the OBV is pulling back. We're going to be looking for some green, whether it's sideways green or actual, climbing out of this. The OBV is going to find a bounce and start heading back up towards all-time highs. RSI is sitting at 29, oversold still on the weekly. Perfect setup here, looking for a new macro and a squeeze. And that is pretty much it for the video. I'm not going to really drag this out. It's going to be very boring price action for the next couple weeks. My attention currently is elsewhere, as well as the rest of the Discord. We have other plays going on for the meantime. Not really focusing too much attention on AMC on a daily basis, just because, like I said previously, it's just going to be chop city, barcode sideways, ups and downs here until we approach this trend again. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to be playing SPY puts probably 2-3 weeks out when we get the double top at 456. And I have another play going on right now. The Discord knows about it too. I'm not going to mention it here, but that looks really good. So that is pretty much it for the video. Not expecting anything for AMC next week at all. Same for GameStop. And that's pretty much it. Looking for the double top on SPY, looking for that pullback. That is the final symmetrical landmark to the downside, is this pullback to 420 that we're looking for. And then after that is the climb to all-time highs. This will be lining up with everything else. The rest of the meme basket, AMC, GameStop. More than likely, AMC will be approaching its macro halt line as SPY is in the process of climbing to all-time highs. I do expect that to happen at the exact same time, as well as GameStop. GameStop will squeeze at the exact same time as AMC. And that is pretty much it for the video. It's not just the meme basket, it's everything else. Altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever. Crypto in general, blue chips. The market as a whole is ready to level up once again. The market is very cyclical, waves of bull cycle, bear cycle, bull cycle, bear cycle, but it is in an uptrend. S&P 500 is a perfect example. The market is in an uptrend. This is a normal pullback. All the fear being injected into the market through mainstream media is nothing but bullshit. Just fear and uncertainty while the market is heading in an upward direction. Makes sense. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, the whole market's about to level up. Everything. And that does not exclude AMC, GameStop, or the rest of the meme basket. And it definitely does not exclude S&P 500, which will be seeing all-time highs probably within the next 2 months. As crazy as that may sound with everything going on, it doesn't have to make sense, and it never will make sense. That is it for the video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll catch you guys with some update videos next week. It's going to be a very, very slow, boring week for AMC. Probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks, heading into middle of December, where things might start getting exciting as we start approaching this trend. But yeah, for the meantime, not looking for shit. Just move to the right, get closer and closer to the macro halt line every single day. That's what we're looking for AMC currently. That's it. I'll catch you guys next week. A couple update videos. It's not going to be every day. Like I said, the videos for the meantime, short term, for the next couple of weeks are not going to be very frequent. I was contemplating not even making a video tonight, but I figured I would just do it. That's it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll catch you with some updates next week.